Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. I was so gonna say GH. Um, you know what? Let's start off with the whole Rafe and Ava scene because during their date, Ava is in the bathroom freshening up, and Steve comes over. So Steve is like, "Hey, what's going on?" It's kind of chatting up a little bit. Finds out he's on a date, and he's like, "So who's the lucky lady?" Ava comes back and is like, "It was me." She comes back, "It's me." And so now, at this point, Steve, I looked at this two different ways, okay? You have to sit there and kind of remember something, that I haven't been watching the show as long as other people have been watching it, so I don't know the entire history, or as far as being there to watch it. Like, watching a scene sometimes is a lot more impactful than them just sitting there just bringing it up every now and then. But with that being said, she's done some terrible things. And Steve, in an attempt to sit there and try to warn Rafe about Ava, just starts listing them off, sitting there saying she is trouble. And just pretty much kind of shortlisted by sitting there saying that she has terrorized me, my entire family, and she was obsessed with me, and this is the kind of person that she is. So, you sure you want to do this, bro? Like, you sure you want to do this? And at first, Rafe was like, "Listen, I appreciate what you're doing, but, yeah, I'm still on that date, and you're kind of interrupting me at this point, so maybe you could just, But, Ava's like, "Listen, he has a point," and, she apologizes to Steve, heartfelt, warm apology, acknowledging what she did, knowing that she can't sit there and make it up, but just basically sitting there saying that she is working day by day to try to be a better person for her son and for herself. With that being said, Steve was like, "Listen, I appreciate that. It's all well and good, but, I'm not ready to, forgive you yet, but, thanks." And with that being said, he turns around, he looks at, Rafe and is like, "Alright, well, I said my piece, and, what you do moving forward is on you." Now, of course, Ava lists the whole thing about not really knowing what love is, going through her traumatic backstory of her and her father, her mother, and all that stuff. So with that being said, when Steve leaves, at this point I'm sitting there thinking, well, this date is just over at this point. He just he just put a giant damper on whatever positive energy they were having. But with that being said, Rafe was like, "Listen, at the end of the day, I'm still gonna, I want to see where it's gonna go. I made up my choice. This is my choice, and this is, what I want to do." So they leave the restaurant, not getting any dessert. And then at this point, Rafe is like, "Yeah, I know we didn't get dessert, at the restaurant, but, maybe we can come up with our own special dessert at this point." So they start kissing, and at this point, it was like, "Yeah, I kind of want to end this on this night on a high note, so I'm gonna call it a night." Which I'm kind of surprised about a little bit. I don't know if what Steve said really did kind of damper the mood, because, before Nicole came in, they were practically ready to, play mattress tag. But yeah, she kind of cooled down the brakes. Was like, "Listen, have a good night." And he was like, wait, you serious? You sure you want to do that? Alright. And so as she leaves, he's still just like, like I said, Ava did look bad in that dress, so I can't blame him. I really can't. But there's a couple of times where he does look at his phone, checking, because Nicole called. I don't know if she got a chance to call him back, but Rafe did call her back to sit there and make sure that she was okay. Now, Nicole, on the other hand, is hanging out with, I don't want to say this our favorite bad boy, Xander. Yeah, she's hanging out with Xander. Hanging out with Xander. And at this point, Sammy is just like, what is going on? So she follows him to the hotel. She's outside, but she can't hear what's going on. Now, this whole thing with Xander and Nicole pretty much ends in a couple of different ways. After Xander says a bunch of dickish things about, like, you know, just kind of just being a bad person and, you know, just kind of embracing your inner demons and just kind of just, you know, taking what you want, no prisoners, this, that, and the third. And Nicole confesses that, you know, she has a thing for Rafe, but she's also a married woman, and she feels angry at Eric, and also she feels jealous of Ava being with Rafe. You know, she's conflicted. But, you know, at the same time, I mean, she's conflicted, but she's being honest with the one person who she says she can't stand for reasons that go way further back than when I watched it, but from what I heard, it's pretty bad. All this content and everything like that, plus the fact that they've been drinking for quite a while, one thing leads to the next, and, well, they go at it. They go at it, and, yeah, that's definitely going to complicate things. 'Cause at this point, I mean, I felt like at this point, Nicole was going to wind up cheating on Eric with someone. It was just a question of who at this point. Now, of course, she is mad at Eric because he stayed longer, and I'm just like, sweetheart, I wish you could sit there and just replay yourself when you said, no, Eric, you should go. You should sit there and help them out. You're doing a great job. And I don't want to sit there and be the person that stops you from, you know, you being just a great person. And now she's sitting there kicking herself, and we're all supposed to sit there and feel sorry for her. So, yeah, okay. But yeah, so they go at it. And so that's going to throw a little wrench in her own plan. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing. It's very clear that this was just a one-night stand, but I mean, it's just going to be that much more harder to try to get Rafe, because let's be honest, this is exactly where it's going. Kristen, I just do not understand. I just do not understand this woman sometimes. So, by the way, at some point, Sammy gets a call from Kristen, and once again, Kristen is all like, help me or else I'll sit there and, you know, tell EJ. Now, at this point, I'm just like, seriously, we're still doing the whole threatening to expose her to EJ if she doesn't sit there and help you. And I'm looking at this scene and looking at Sammy's face or whatever, and I'm just sitting there thinking, you know, Sammy, if you were actually just honest with EJ, she wouldn't have any of this power over you. She wouldn't be sitting there just snapping her damn fingers and just having you run to whatever, well, craziness that she got involved with. But because you can't bother to be honest with your man, and because you're just being a coward about this whole thing, you are doing crap that you really shouldn't be doing with Kristen, out of all people. Now, Kristen, you know, after Chloe left, because, you know, she disguised as like a, not a nurse, I guess, or scrub surgeon, I don't know. She's described as some sort of medical person. And so after Chloe's all, you know, finished holding his hand, and they're saying, I'm pulling for you, and what the hell, I'm pulling for you, this, that, and the third. There's a part where Kristen looks like she's angry at Chloe, and I'm just like, sweetheart, you're the one that put this man in this bed, and yet you're still sitting there looking at her like she's the enemy? Are you kidding me? So she spent some time with Brady, sitting there trying to just say she's sorry, I hope you pull through, this, that, and third, and practically I screwed up. Now, Sammy did run into Marlena and John, let them know about Brady's condition. They go to the hospital, and they wind up seeing, Brady. Well, John wound up seeing Brady. So he comes in the room, and at this point, she hears John's voice, so she covers up, and she sneaks out of there before John is able to sit there and recognize her. And, then she calls Sammy and, threats, blah, 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 blah. She gets Sammy to the park, and at this point, she's sitting there saying, I need you to help me find, Kate. Now, this whole thing with the hospital, because Sammy's like, oh, I could have sworn I saw Kate at the hospital. Remember I was sitting there confronting Kate? And at first, Kristen didn't want to sit there and say that she was Kate. And I was just like, well, why don't you tell her that you were Kate? Like, what is that going to do? Like, I don't understand why you're keeping that a secret. So she does wind up telling her that. And of course, she winds up telling her about how she's missing and everything like that. Like, she's, I can't find her. And then, at this point, Kristen tells Sammy how she got missing. And one thing led to the next, and she tells Sammy that she was the one that ran Brady off the road. And Sammy is like, what the So, at first she's really angry at Kristen. But then somewhere along the line she realizes that, despite how they feel about each other, Sammy knows that Kristen loves Brady to death. Like literally would do anything. So she's like, listen, I understand that, but at the same time, I can't help you with this whole, trying to find Kate and kidnap her and stuff like that, because I can't sit there and look Lucas in the face. We got kids together, and, I kind of like Kate, so I'm out. Once again, Kristen brings up, oh, if you don't sit there and help me, I'm going to sit there and tell EJ. At this point, Sammy's like, alright, you done said that like so many times, like 10, 20, 15 times, I'm just going to ignore it at this point. And so she is just like, whatever. So she decides to call up Rafe and sit there and try to get Kate some real help. And by sitting there saying that, she's also like, you need some real help too. Now at this point, every woman that has encountered Kristen and said, I'm going to sit there and tell someone to, or threaten her in any sort of fashion, we know what's going to happen. And that's exactly what wound up happening. She turns around, she's about to call Rafe, and Kristen pokes her with that needle. I'm sitting there thinking at this point, Kristen, what's the body count now? I mean, you got Sarah that's gone, you got Kate, that's missing, and you're going to kidnap Sammy. What are you doing, Kate? I mean, what are you doing, Kristen? I sit there and say, what is she doing? But she's... the thing is, she's crazy. But she's not stupid. But it's like... her craziness overrides her common sense and her logic. We got about 3 body counts now at this point. People are going to start asking questions. And now, at this point, whatever plan that you had... you are just, I mean, you are literally making your plan worse. Well, it couldn't have been any worse than the fact that you literally put this man in the hospital that you were so-called protecting. So, like, good job. At this point, I'm just like, Kristen, you're just better off just trying to switch back with Susan Banks and just hope no one else knows the difference. Or, I don't know, just, like, run away, go back on the run. At this point, it's better for her just go on a run. Again. Sitting there thinking, I was like, well, she can't even go back to go back to jail, because the minute that either Sarah gets free or Kate, goes to the police, they're going to sit there and tell, Rafe and, the cops everything. So, even if they switch back places, it was already going to be too late. So, yeah, the best plan for her is to just go on a damn run. Yeah. I think that's about it. But like I said, Kristen is a hot mess. And it just seems like every time that she has a plan and somebody does something and she either kidnaps them or does whatever to them, it just makes her plan that much more harder to follow through. Because... listen, unless you plan on kidnapping the whole damn town, somebody's going to sit there and recognize you. I mean, you would sit there and think at some point the fact that Brady is in the hospital, that you'd be like, maybe this whole thing about me trying to protect Brady, because she even said it in the hospital. She was like, I've been sent there trying to protect you from Chloe and everyone, and everything like that, and I'm the one that put you in this hospital. Cool, you have a moment of clarity. What does she do towards the end? Oh, well, now I'm going to sit there and drug and kidnap Sammy. She is something else. She is definitely something else. I guess she's always been like this, and I'm just late to the party. So, she's definitely an interesting character. I will sit there and say that much. So yes, with that being said, that's going to do it. I don't think I really missed too much of anything else. If I did, write in the comment section below. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Catch you in the next video.